Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to, I'm about to say the Love Your Vibe podcast. No, welcome to the Heart of Christ Ministry message. I am your host, Reverend Shaun Robert Grant. Happy to be bringing you another faith filled, as well as faithful message today from the depths of the divine. And yeah, it's exciting to be here with you. It's really cold. The air conditioner, I tell you, boy, South Florida can get super, super hot. So you turn the air conditioner on in your place, and you're dressed like you're getting ready to visit Chicago or something like that in the winter. But anyway, it feels good and it looks good, and that's what counts. So hope you guys are fantastic. Today we've got a once again, great message for you. And this is something that I've had a personal love for, because I feel like if you're able to discover, what we call your source code, right? What that does is that sort of makes it easier for your life in a sense. And in a sense, as to, I've always found people that find the direction or the path that they're supposed to go on create just an ample amount of clarity to be able to follow that path relentlessly. And so for me, that was always something that was of great eminence to be able to discover that, because once I knew what it is that I was doing, I could go full throttle, like, I mean, just hyper speed down that path, and just doing everything possible. Because my thing is, my mom used to always tell me, she's like, you're so extreme. You either just on one side or the other, and for a long time, it took me not to be so, black and white. But when it comes to calling, when it comes to purpose, I'm like all to one side. I'm all in, because that's the only way you want to be, because that's how you get the most out of this. Okay. So before we get into it, let's talk about what the source code actually is. So websites function on source codes, right? They actually get that term from the divine essence of what this truly means. So all it comes down to is that God has placed divine programming within your DNA, right? And within that divine programming is a unique set purpose for you to fulfill while you're here. And it's different in every single human being that manifests onto this earth. It's absolutely different. Some people might think, well, my kids might follow the same thing I'm doing. No, every single human being has a different set of source programming. Now, if you're going to find success, and I mean, when I say success, I mean true success, right? Success where you're offering value and you're creating change, you're helping humanity, you have to discover this source code, right? If you're going to find true fulfillment, you got to find the source code. You got to discover the source code within you. And the beauty of it is, though, is that when you look back on your life, you can see this code popping up every single possible way. And that's what's fun about it, is that, like, you don't really know at the time, but then when you look back, you begin to discover, oh, okay, this is what this was all about. I get it now. So for me, like I said, it's one of my favorite messages, and it is so exciting to begin to discover what this means to us as a whole and what it means to us individually, right? Because if you don't know what that is, then guess what? You got some work to do, man. All right. Let's get going. So there's a few questions coming into it that we have to pretty much sit down with. And I completely understand that a lot of times this is not going to come right away. Okay. It's not going to be like, boop. And then sometimes it is, it just depends on how receptive you are to really discovering this thing within you that can take you to endless levels of happiness. And I'm telling you, once you're that happy and you feel that on point with where you are, that vibration is going to create abundance in every form. You know, we talk about money, we talk about resources, we talk about opportunity. That's what it does. That's why, like, if you have children, start identifying with them, because that's going to help them so far along. I can tell you the kids that usually do the most successful in school are the ones who have an idea of what they want to do, of the goals they want to pursue, and they have a direction. That way they're not distracted by other stuff. Same with adults who have direction, who have, you know, goals in mind, but divine goals, not just any old goals. Divine goals, those are the adults that move with power and move with direction when they have that clarity. And that's what we want to do, is create that clarity. So, you know, the first thing to think about, speaking to children, is who or what did you emulate the most as a child? Okay. So when I think back in my own childhood, I was always emulating performers, right? And so I'll share my source code with you here in just a bit, but it was always about performing. At one time, I thought it was athletics, but, you know, later on in life, I realized that it wasn't necessarily being an athlete that made me excited or thrilled as much as it was as being a performer who inspired people, right? And so when I really take a good look at my life, all I wanted to do was play sports. All I wanted to do was be Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders, Michael Jordan. All I wanted to do was be those guys. And it was more or less how the crowd cheered for them, how the press would hound them after the game and stuff like that, not knowing, like, once you become an adult, that's the last thing you want to happen. But I saw that and I just fell in love with it. So I used to emulate that as a child. Like I would basically, you know, score a touchdown in street ball and then go, you know, because I always wanted a crowd cheering for me. So that was mine, so to speak. That was a bit of it, you know, being a performer. So I took the steps, right? I took the steps in going from athlete, you know, to organized athletics, to being a model, and then walking in the runway and loving that, and then being an actor and stuff. It all got back to being able to inspire people to feel their best. When I look at every single thing that I went into, if I couldn't make them feel inspired, I'd walk away from it, right? This is why regular jobs were absolute torture to me. They were just torture, because there was just none of that. Like, nobody was inspired. Everybody was, nobody was ever doing anything. And I felt so dead inside when I had to go to a place that was absent of my source code, right? So I want you to think about, who were you as a kid? Were you a mad scientist? Were you a ballerina? Were you, and it's important to write these things down, because then the more we write down, the more we can think about what it is, what really lies behind the truth, right? Because if you look at my life and you knew me as a kid, and a lot of you did, you thought it was just like be a professional athlete, but it was actually perform, inspire a crowd, help them to feel encouraged, just lift them up. That's what it was all about, right? That's why I always was drawn to the crowds, no matter what it was. And athletics was just an outlet to do that, right? And over time, what happens is the source code pretty much unfolds DNA that lies dormant, right? So we're going to get to this one here in just a bit, but it talks about, what do you spend your most money on? And I was like, oh, food for sure. Food for sure, which is pretty cool, because I've always wanted to cook for people. When I was a little kid, nobody would taste my food because they just thought it was like not good. But, I always wanted, it was once again, getting back to wanting to inspire people. The danger with mine, though, was I could be so set on gaining approval that I could lose myself. And if you saw that post, it talked about how to release approval. So now it's finding the balance that I just get from actually doing the thing. And then the whole approval kind of comes on top if that tends to happen. So that's what I want you to do. Write this question down if you need to. Who or what did you emulate the most as a child? And what type of feeling? That's another important thing. What type of feeling were you trying to get from doing what you did? Right. And it can be absolutely anything. So don't discount the fact that you like to watch TV all day long, because that can mean that, you dreamt of creating TV shows that, entertain people. Like, take that into account. Take everything into account, because that's what's going to help you to find out what your source code is. Okay. So moving on to number 2. And this is a cool one because, for me, I kind of figured this out a little bit later on. So what would you do completely for free without any guarantee of being paid? Right. So this is a good one, because usually this is where the true passion lies. Right. Once we can do stuff without the worry or the care of thinking of how much money we're going to get from it, then we're on point. Right. Because that means that that's coming from a place within us, a divine place within us that is truly already fulfilled. And it feels the need to express. It feels the need to give. It feels the need to shower the world with this gift. Okay. So for me, it's this, right? There's no guarantee to being paid. There's no guarantee that I'll make any money, to be honest with you, because it's not really about that in the ministry. It's about using the money you get to expand your reach. But at the same time, I can do this all day long, right? And have no sign of anything coming along, but it brings me that joy because I'm moving from an already abundant area of life. An abundant area within me, right? It's part of my source code, right? And so when we talked about what did you spend your most money on? When I really look at it, it's camera equipment, right? It's microphones, bing, like podcast setups, it's stage lights and stuff like that. All these things that would help me to express myself from this level of abundance within me that needs to get out. And so when I think about it, so my wife and I would go on vacations and we would go to different places. And the number one thing that would pop in my head, not the number one thing maybe, but other than the food, one of the biggest things to pop up in my head was, where can I shoot a video, right? Where can I film a video, but not just a video with me up there just, dancing and singing and whatnot, but a video to inspire the people who would watch it. And that ran through my mind so much. And I would do this. I would be in paradise looking for an amazing spot to shoot a video. And that proved to me, okay, what I'm doing now is a part of my source code. This is indwelled within me because I'm not waiting for anybody to give me anything. I'm just doing it. And the act of doing it brings me so much joy. So it's important to know that. Like, what do you find whatever you devote your time to, right? That is where you find your treasure, because that's where your heart is rooted in, because time is it's not like this thing you can just get back. It's like you devote your time to this. That means that you're truly loving it on a deeper level. And it means that you love it because you don't expect anything from it, right? When you truly love something, you don't expect to get anything from it. Like that's we've been kind of brainwashed to think that's why so many bad relationships, that we have to expect to get something back from what we love. But in actuality, it's the giving of that love that fulfills us, not what we get in return. What we get in return is just icing on the cake, right? So that's a message for another day, though. But once again, like I said, write this down. What would you do completely for free without any guarantee of being paid? I'm telling you, when you find this, or if you know it already, it's golden, right? Because this is one of the things you're going to follow and continue to do, because guess what? this is a pure state of abundance when you understand and you accomplish number two, which means what? Abundance within has to reflect abundance without. So you don't even have to worry about being paid, so to speak, right? Because it's going to show up anyway by universal law. So tap into that, discover what that is, and really, really make the most of it and figure out how you can hone it. Okay. Moving on to number three. We're rolling today, guys. Rolling today. All right. So what can't you live without? What can't you go a day without doing? Right? Let's think about that. What can't you live without? What can't you go a day without doing? And so this is an interesting one because you have to go deeper with this, right? Because initially you could be like, well, I can't go a day without watching TV, But ultimately, from a soul's perspective, like something that just arises, emerges, as Michael Beckwith says, out of you. Think about what that is that you can't go a day without. And I'll tell you mine right away. I can't go a day without inspiring people. I can't go a day without encouraging people, without putting enthusiasm into something. And most times I can't go a day without shooting on camera, taking that gift and putting it on camera. So for me, once again, that's the evidence of my source code showing up. And it makes me happy. It makes me extraordinarily happy and fulfilled. So I have to do whatever I can to make sure that I am surrounding or setting up my life to where this is possible, right? Because a lot of times you think you go for the wrong things that don't bring the happiness, but that bring the seeming like security. And then you're kind of stuck and you fall into depression and you fall into, this rut of wondering if life's ever going to get better. But I'm telling you, life explodes when we understand what our source code is, right? So I've given you 3 questions, but there's so many questions that you can ask yourself about discovering, this amazing, purposeful, divine thing that's already programmed within you. A lot of times, it's just taking inventory of everything that we've done in our life and what we've done well, but more importantly, what we've enjoyed doing, right? Because if there's something that you really enjoy, and you can't use the word enjoy lightly, right? When somebody says, I really enjoyed that, like, that means that they were submerged in joy while they were doing it. So we have to really discover, what do we enjoy? Not what's nice to do, what we kind of somewhat like to do, but what do we enjoy doing, right? On a daily basis. What takes us to that place where time no longer exists, where we lose ourselves in time, where we're not worried about anything other than this moment right now. Those are primary cues to helping you to discover where you're supposed to be. And I'm telling you, the beauty of this for yourself, and if you have kids especially, you don't waste time, right? You don't waste time trying to make stuff happen that is not programmed for you to be able to do. It's a beautiful thing when you don't have to waste time and energy on stuff that basically leads to a dead end. You want stuff that's going to lead you down your divine path of everything, living the life that you desire, right? That lies within the source code, right? I'm telling you, find it. Find it. If you hadn't found it already, find it, write it down, make sure you're clear on what it is, because I'm telling you, happiness, true happiness lies within this, because this is what you were built for, right? And nobody else was built for it like you. It's your unique expression to the world. So why not find it, right? There's so many incentives to finding that and embracing it and giving it freely. I'm telling you, it's just, I could talk all day about this, but we know how that goes. Don't have the time. But anyway, it's awesome to be able to speak a little bit about this and to share it with you in hopes that you can benefit from it and find, because Who knows, right? Who knows where anybody is right now as far as the COVID, but I can guarantee you, if you know what you're made for, the ideas, the creativity are going to show up when you're tapped into that source code. I'm telling you, the website can't work without it. Well, your life can't work optimally without your divine source code. So get on that, use these questions. This video will be up permanently, pretty much, because this is my legacy. No, so come back and write down those questions if you need. And also, if you need more questions, so to speak, you can give me a shout over at ShaunG04@gmail.com. And as always, for prayer, for, stand in divine agreement, for divine solutions that you may need in your life, any type of struggles or anything like that, give me a holler. I will get to it as soon as I can with my busy schedule, so to speak. No, just, if you're up for it and you want to go that route, like I said, I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I possibly can for prayer, whatever it is, whatever it may be. Okay. So ShaunG04@gmail.com. And last but not least, as always, if you find this content beneficial in any shape, size, or form, please, by all means, donate to this ministry. It's all about expansion. It's all about taking in what the people decide to give lovingly from their hearts, not forced, but from love, and using that to expand, not just in the life of the ministry, but in your life, because you're contributing to something that is helping humanity. I mean, and it's just a beautiful thing. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if you feel free, if you want to, if you're feeling like a giver today, donate at Venmo, Heart of Christ Ministry, and PayPal, ShaunG04@gmail.com. Also, people have been telling me, if Apple Pay is better for you, just shoot me an email and then we'll figure out Apple Pay, because I think I've used that a couple times, but these are the primaries. Anyway, this helps the ministry immensely, and it helps me to continue to expand, in a sense, to come back to you with greater and greater messages and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, like I said, this is my calling. This is my source code. So I'm very happy to do this all the time. Thank you for your gift in advance and your kindness and generosity. Guys, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am signing off. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Be upbeat. Be positive. Be connected more so than anything else from the divine to the divine. May the presence of God in me bless the presence of God in you guys. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.